That is exactly what Ortegas would do. Pike says hit it, and Ortegas just goes, Captain Spot, stardate 512422.3. Welcome aboard the Starships Enterprise, and I thank you for joining us as we take a brief short leave from the world of CinemaSins. The syllables are going all over the place. This is how Shatner delivers the Captain Spot intro.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us as we take a break from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek.
Wow.
I'm your Captain Ian Whittington.
Listen, hold on. Let's just say for a second that you've made it all this time without doing that. So congratulations.
It's incredible. 5 seasons. I've done so well. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington.
Wow.
Ian Whittington. Suddenly I've moved from Captain Kirk into Max Headroom. And she's inspired a mutiny on board the Barge of the Dead and is currently en route to overthrow Sto'Vo'Kor. It's Ambassador Deneé Hughes.
I am ready to rule.
Do you know any of the places that I just mentioned that you're about to rule?
Nope.
But you're here for it. You're like, let's go.
I'm ready. I guess like there are some places I could probably end up that maybe wouldn't be that fun to rule, but then I don't know why I would be going there in the first place.
Because you're on a boat and you're just like, well, wherever we're going, I'm going to be the new queen.
Is that how it works?
I based on my intro, yes, it is.
I love it. Let's do it.
If I give you a hint that you would get a batleth and a mechleth, does that help you context clues guess any of the words I just said?
Yeah, that's like a treble clef.
Oh, I really thought you were going to get it. I didn't think you were going to troll me.
Isn't batleth
Batman's instrument?
Shush! I'm trying to think.
Do it.
Klingon?
Yes. Context clues. Right. Barge of the Dead. Where is it going?
Well, interestingly enough, the food court.
No. It's a very Klingon thing to just assume it's food. If it's not food, what's the other thing?
Murder.
Yeah, it's not that either. So.
Wait. So it's not battling your food?
No, I mean, depending on what your version of hell is, then yes. Because the Barge of the Dead is where the dishonored? Anyway, the Klingons without honor, when they die, they go to hell. They go to Grethor. And the Barge of the Dead is the barge that apparently takes them there across an ocean so that they have some exposition time for us to figure out how we stop them going to hell. And Sto'Vo'Kor is the honored dead. That's heaven. So you are taking the Barge of the Dead, redirecting it to Sto'Vo'Kor so you can take over Klingon heaven.
Yay! Let's fucking go.
That is an animated series I want to see.
My weapon of choice will be boredom.
Boredom. You're going to bore the Klingons to death by telling them stories?
Maybe.
But your stories
are
incapable of being boring.
Right, which is why I can't speak. So it'll be that they're taken into a meeting where they think that I'm like this really like incredible queen with a lot of power, and they just sit there and they wait for me to speak, but I actually just watch them, and so they think I'm telepathic and they're not getting it or something, and they just eventually get really bored, and then they're like, that was powerful, and I swear my allegiance to you.
Done.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of charisma rolls for me though. A lot of, and they're going to have to
they're going to have to roll a lot of nat ones simultaneously.
I'm going to roll now. Do you have a die in front of you?
I do. I'm sure Dicer does. I don't have a 20. Hang on a minute. I have the internet.
Okay, I'm going to use my metal dice because that's the only thing that makes sense when you're trying to deceive a Klingon.
Nice. That's metal as heck. I'm going to roll an internet dice because I am the future.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to put my microphone down here so we can get it.
Okay. Roll it. Rollies. What did you get? Take a picture of it. Did you get a nat 1? Oh, you got a 3. Oh, no.
Listen, it's going really well.
I got a 6, which means you nearly worked. I think that like nobody was paying attention, and then the second they pay attention, you like fuck up and say you insult someone's mother.
But what are my modifiers? Like I have to have a
minus
little bit
1.
Oh no! Come on! No, I can't be a -1.
That's amazing.
I am clearly a charisma class. Like as a person,
you would be high charisma. Yeah.
I'm going to be high charisma. I have to have a modifier of at least plus 5.
+1. +1. You got a +1 modifier.
Okay. We'll say that it's a +3, and then we have an even, so it's unknown.
Yeah, but my Klingons have a +5 to charisma.
They do not.
Have you ever seen a Klingon? They're charismatic as fuck.
There is in strength, and constitution and strength.
Yep, and then number 3 is charisma, but they rolled really, really well on their stats, so it still gave them a high.
No, it goes to dexterity because they have to do a lot of athletic shit.
They are not dexterous. Are you kidding? That's.
They're also not charismatic.
Wait, and athletic is strength based. Acrobatics is dexterity based.
Acrobatics, they do that too.
There is not a single acrobatic Klingon on this universe. None of them are in the Olympics doing backflips and shit. It's not happening. That's how you lose a toe. Right, okay. I genuinely thought we were still in the outtakes, but no, this is the intro to the show.
Shit.
Hello,
oh my
everybody.
God. Hi. Sorry, we got distracted. Hi,
Majorly.
everyone. We're going to be watching Lower Decks today.
Deneé takes over. Let's go. Let's do it. Give him the title.
That's my charisma. Oh, the title of the show today?
Yep.
Without looking, or?
Yeah, no, just give me a guess. What you think this episode is called?
It starts with a P.
Nope.
God damn it.
This week we will be watching Season 3, Episode 9 of Star Trek Lower Decks, which is called Trusted Sources.
That's what I was going to say.
And I don't think this episode is going to be about their favourite condiments. I think this is going to be like a spy-based episode. I'm hoping for. Any predictions before we go in?
I predict this episode will be fast-paced, a lot of fun, hard to sin, and enjoyable all at the same time.
Welcome to the last 8 episodes of Season 5 of Captain's Pod. All of those things. Well, I wholeheartedly agree. So without further ado, let's head over to the holodeck to watch the episode, and we will see you in 10 forward for a full debrief. To the Cerritos! Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first. What would you like from the replicator?
Mariner's tears, please.
Oh.
Mariner's tears this episode.
Mariner's righteous tears for once. Like, not often is that the case.
Spoiler. We should probably have spoiler at some point. Yeah.
Spoilers for the show. Surprise anybody listening
live
now,
listeners. Yeah,
a week after the episode has come out. Yeah,
cusses and spoilering happening.
Yeah, all of the things.
How many banners do I hear? Cussing.
14. Okay, so for anyone listening to the podcast, this is specifically relating to the Twitch live show where Deneé is putting up a ton of banners that are warning people that there is cussing and spoilering. I'll try and get a screenshot of this and share it.
Oh my God, it's a mess. Join us live if you can on our CSPN YouTube page or on Twitch.
This is why we don't do many things live. It's absolute chaos. Right.
So what about you? What are you gonna have from the replicator today, Captain?
Me, I'm going to have all of the filling from the pies that have been wasted. So that I'm going to redirect that disposal unit to just send me the filling. It can get rid of the crust and the pastry, but I want all of that filling in a jar, and I'm just going to spoon it into my gullet.
It's not. I have questions about that scene. Can we just jump to it, or no? You have to do the recap.
It's probably a sin anyway, isn't it? So let's save it for engineering.
Yeah, okay.
I love your internal implosion face when you want to say something and your cheeks just puff out like a puffer fish, just like I can't say it. Must contain.
They're holding it in. Yeah, my cheeks are very powerful.
Yeah. Right. Okay. The crew of the Cerritos is on a mission that is apparently a new mission called Operation Swing By, which is oddly similar to what their original mission actually already was, to check in and do second contact with species that have been first contacted and abandoned for some reason. With the slight rub of the Federation News Network, a reporter from them is coming to observe and interview people, and the ship has to be held together with lies and blue tack until a secret lies upon one of the 2 planets with which they are visiting, to whom eventually Mariner leaves the ship. So, overall thoughts and feelings. That sounded
like a Deneé recap right there.
It really did. I was channeling Deneé. I really was.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Well done.
So, initial thoughts and feelings, Deneé. How did you like the episode?
I don't know. This one was difficult for me. I feel like it was a very disjointed episode in an interesting way, right? Like where we have a forced tension. This is the third act cliche of a season, is what's happening.
It really is. Yes.
So we suddenly have a lot of tension that happens as we kick into the next few episodes that'll probably drive the rest of the season. And this is definitely an episode where we're really digging back into the relationship, where I feel like they're going back in to highlight the discomfort between the mother and the daughter, which was sort of, I remember when we watched that first episode, it was like, oh, this is a theme that we're going to hit. And we really haven't. So I'm not surprised to see it here on screen. And I'm not surprised that Mariner kind of needs her little arc that's like, I'm good, guys. Because everybody, including myself, for a split second, believed that she was up to no good. And then she started some trouble in the neighborhood. She got in that one little fight, and her mom got scared.
Her mom did get scared. Yeah.
And then she was moving with her auntie and uncle to
Starbase
Space 80.
Right. Right. What was the moment that you realised that? Because you said it had you fooled for a little bit. Was there a moment where you thought, "Oh no, she was saying good things. Everyone else did it."
I knew that something was wrong. There was two times, and they're definitely sins. So I hopefully will just skip over them later. Where there is somebody that's in command who can hear or see Mariner potentially doing something she's not supposed to. Everybody knows she's not supposed to talk to the reporter. They either hear her say that she's going to go talk to the reporter, or they see her go talk to the reporter, and they don't stop it from happening, which tells me that the story needs her to talk to the reporter. And it's like, okay, why is that? So that's my first kind of like, something's not, so they're doing something here. But yeah, basically the moment that everybody started shunning her, like as soon as she walks out, everybody was shunning her. I was like, oh, she didn't actually say anything. It was pretty clear, because they wouldn't turn everybody against Mariner like that.
As soon as it goes like 100% the opposite direction, you're like, this is too one note, therefore there must be something else to it. So as soon as she got in there and wasn't even allowed to speak or explain, I was like, everyone is so deep into this. The only thing that happens next is that they all have egg on their face, because she was the only one that was saying nice things. All of the stories were coming from everyone else who was also there and was also present.
The time I would have bet money on it was when they were like going over there was like a whole list of things, and and she was just like, I didn't do anything wrong. There was like this one moment I would have been like, yeah, for sure. And there was like the rejection of the people. And then just after that, it was all the specific things. Oh, it was when the reporter was talking to the captain, when she was listing out all the things. I was like, something's up.
Yeah, this is very categorical. Yeah. My other little thing was that, man, they need her to be off the ship. I wonder what disaster is about to happen next, because you always have to put somebody off the ship so that you have a character that can come back and save the day or whatever. But that didn't happen, which confused the heck out of me. I was like, don't you do unconventional storytelling? What are you doing?
Oh, it's great. That's one of the reasons I like this show, and I don't mind these episodes. But the other thing that was interesting about this episode, as to why I felt it was disjointed, is, there was this moment they go on to that second planet. So like the first planet is fine. They don't need any help. The second planet needs help, but it's been invaded by this species I'm not familiar with. I know you are. But they don't really even go back to it and revisit it or address it or anything. And so it just kind of felt like, wait, what was the purpose of this episode? And the purpose of this episode for the season is probably getting Mariner off the ship and going the archaeologist kind of route, which we thought was going to happen whenever we saw that episode.
Totally.
So that was
sense.
kind of, I remember being like, man, to give the characters a chance to do something outside of Starfleet was really cool. And to have them actually do that within the season is even cooler, because it means that they're not afraid of making that choice quickly, which is awesome. Yeah. I love that.
And it really fits Mariner as well. Like,
it does. I hope she's happy.
There's only so much you can say, I hate Starfleet and I don't want to be here, before you actually go and do something about it, because there are millions of options of what you can do. It doesn't have to be the military.
Yep. So, but I don't know what's going to happen in the next, like, this is a setup for, like a stage setup for whatever might come next, right? And I'm a little bit worried, because I think Mariner is a better fit outside of Starfleet, and my curiosity is if they're going to shoehorn her back in because we, the audience, love Mariner. Yeah. So,
I think that's pretty much that almost has to happen.
Probably.
Overall, for me, not a fan of this episode, and that really, really hurts me to say. Like, I love this show so much, and I just have to be okay that there are going to be some episodes that don't get me. The finale, there's nothing to not like about the finale, but it is just like kind of a gimme. Like, it's kind of, let's introduce a new ship, let's get some phasers, let's blow up the Cerritos again. Like, I'm going to enjoy that. And the references to the Breen and the Anarans was great. But the episode overall, other than the fan servicey, referencey bits, I wasn't a big fan of the rest of it. It just felt a bit like we've done this, we keep doing this. The rub, the only thing that really saves it is that Mariner leaves. Like, this isn't just a all's well that ends well at the end of the episode. There is a consequence here. And I'm not even saying I want Mariner off the ship. I want to see her. I want to see her in the show. I want her to be here. But I'm just really tired of this lack of progression. These arcs aren't really going anywhere. Tendi and Rutherford are getting some good arcs that I'm seeing. Mariner's arc hasn't moved for the last... Well, this entire season, I don't think. Boimler's arc has moved a little bit, where he's being bold Boimler, but he's taken such a back seat in almost every episode that we're not really seeing that kind of come to fruition or mean anything day to day. So I think I'm feeling a little bit stagnant, a little bit, where are these people going, and how long do I stay invested in the characters? As much as I love seeing them each week, I'm not seeing them do anything.
That's the crux that I'm in, is this is setting the stage for change. So they've taken Mariner off the ship. They've put her in a position where she's either going to enjoy it or she's going to find something that she doesn't like about it because it needs Starfleet structure. Realize that there's a Starfleet structure she's designed to enjoy. Go back into it. Be welcomed with open arms. Save the day. And then what happens after that? Like, is the crew going to be going...
and she ends up in the brig again. Like, are we just going to keep staying in this loop?
I feel like it's a time for the show to grow through into when they're in command, because they're clearly... And this is weird, right? Because we're watching
the show's called Lower Decks.
It's called Lower Decks. But, like, we're seeing these people that are clearly designed for that, like, leadership at this point. They're really good together. So when do we get to see them not just go on, like, haphazard adventures and lead their way amongst each other, but can they lead a crew? And is the show going to move them into that position and then bring in a new Lower Decks crew for us to enjoy? That would be really smart.
It would be mad. And shows have done this. Like, House at the end of season 3 fired everybody. And then season 4 is a brand new... You still have the old characters that dip in, but it's cycled through the supporting cast quite a bit. And when I saw that, I was like, show's over. Not going to happen. And it's brilliant. Some of the best House is set after season 3. Yeah. So I can... It's like, you could look back in 20 years and just be like, that's exactly what happens, and it makes total sense. It's hard to see that when the show is so linked to Boimler, Mariner, Tendi, Rutherford. But I would love it if they did that. I think that would be really, really smart. I think it'll make the show really, really fresh. Even if we move ships. The big setback with doing that is, and this sounds weird, but Star Trek hasn't done it before. So each series is almost like inexorably linked to the ship and the crew. Like, Voyager is that ship and that crew. DS9 is that space station and that crew. Same with TNG. It would be... And maybe that's why calling it Star Trek Lower Decks and not Star Trek Cerritos or something like that is really, really smart, because we could change ships. We could change everything about the show and just make it really, really fresh and just have them pop in as cameos. I really actually hope that's the direction they go. Because I thought we're going to get a bit stagnant in the next couple years otherwise.
If anything, I think the writers have shown that they have what it takes to create really fun content for a lot of different people to enjoy. And they continue to do things that we love. Like, we got to go revisit a Picard situation, and I can't wait to talk about that. So I'm going to stick along for the Lower Decks ride. Oh, of course. And I'm really curious what they're going to do. Yeah,
I'm having so much fun. It's in the time period that I want them to be exploring, the 2380s to 90s. I'm still all in for the show. I'm just expressing some frustrations that this episode has really summed up. But so really, really interesting that they revisit the planet Anara and Brekka with the Felicium and whatnot, because we've talked about this episode on the show. Did that twig?
Yeah. So I didn't recognize the words right away, but when they started to tell the story of the two planets where one of them had provided a drug and gotten really addicted, and then essentially they broke the addiction and left. That was really, I'm like, what a fun planet to revisit. Wild. What is happening, in here? And for them to have found their new addiction of fitness was very interesting. So, I wondered if we were going to dig into that and go on a weird journey, but they popped out and went to the neighboring planet, which I'm glad they did. But it looks like that planet was completely obliterated by an entire bad guy species I didn't remember.
Yeah, the Breen. The Breen, not the cheese, the Breen. So much to unpack there. It is one of the classic episodes of TNG where the debate is fuck you, Picard. Like, that is a unbelievably fucked up thing you did. You have no idea if this is going to turn out great or not. So what a perfect thing to revisit that they didn't revisit in this episode. Like, they gave it, and I love this idea, but they just gave it lip service and moved on as if it was a punchline. When I want to know more, because anybody who hasn't seen that episode of TNG, there are two planets that have the same species that have evolved together. They have this symbiotic relationship where one has this horrible, horrible disease, and the cure for the disease is on the sister planet. But it turns out that they cured the disease ages ago, but because the other planet's economy depends on providing this drug, they've pretended that the withdrawal symptoms are the disease itself. So they've perfected this drug so much that if they're off it for like a day, they'll start getting withdrawal. So they think they're dependent. Picard swoops in, finds out, and refuses to repair their ships, which means that they technically aren't getting involved in breaking the Prime Directive, but they're stopping the drugs from getting to the planet that's being abused. The big question there is that you've got the planet that is dependent on the drug will go through horrible withdrawal and whatever that comes with. The other thing is that he is crippling the economy of another planet who now has devoted their entire planet's resources to making this drug that they can't sell to anybody. And what does that mean? And it looks like that planet fell into chaos and left them open to be invaded by the Breen. I really hope that we get back to that and that we see how the Breen managed to do that. Are the Brekkians okay? Because Picard has got some answering to do. But that's all in the sins and whatnot, especially. But that's basically what we're revisiting in this episode.
I understand. Like, I wanted to kind of know, like, what happened, but then didn't the mural just solve it all?
For one planet, like, they had, like, true. The horrible withdrawal and then found fitness. But we don't know anything about what happened to the Brekkians. Like, I was expecting it to be like, hey, because you killed their economy, they all killed each other and they died. Yeah,
you're right. And that got, that was shortened quite a bit by the idea of just having an invasive species that, like, and it was weird. Okay, because, like, right after that, so they go from the first planet to the second planet to see if there's more interesting things happening because they're trying to launch this program that the Cerritos is essentially, like, testing out, the revisiting for second contact and making it more of a protocol. The swing by
thing? Yeah. I have some issues with that.
Yeah. So the first planet is like, yeah, we don't really need to swing by. See you later. And so they go to the second planet because they're really wanting to get this program off the ground, right? And so they go over there. The Breen have annihilated essentially the entire planet. And maybe the last living person is outed by the ransom guy who finds them in an alley. Yeah. And then the bad guy Breen murders them in front of our very eyes. And then they zap back to the ship in an emergency beam situation. And when they get back to the ship, they're saved by a new ship. Okay, so this new ship zooms in. Turns out it's an automated ship. There's no life form on board. I really want to hear your thoughts about this part. Were you freaking out? It looked really cool.
Oh, it's really, really, I have loads and loads of thoughts. Okay.
So, and then when the guy in charge of programs of the Admiral person, when he comes on screen, he, instead of being concerned about the Breen, he's like, check out this new ship we made.
Look at it. It's so pretty. We can tell you about it now.
And I think that's part of why I found this episode jarring. It's like, are we not concerned about the death of an entire planet? Are we looking for more life forms on there? Because the show pivots so quickly into pretty new ship and Mariner is gone.
It's kind of like, hey, don't look over here, look over here.
We actually want to know what happened to the people, especially those who are like yourself, are really interested in the storyline from Next Generation.
And it's always going to be the downside of doing the whimsy and doing the fun stuff and doing the get to the joke stuff is that you miss some of the logic of the meat on the bone plot, which is cool, new ship, oddly convenient. But also there's a planet that's really, really in trouble down there.
Highly suspicious.
It's so odd.
It's like, hey, the collapse of this potential revisit a planet program, but you were saved by the ship. And I'm like, was that a setup?
Happens to be nearby, there's probably only one or two of these.
Is he a dark guy? Is he the one that's kind of behind the scenes, doing the thing with the
Rutherford?
Robot Rutherford? Yeah. Is he, because
it's possible,
I don't know.
But it seems strange, doesn't it? It was odd.
It ended really jarringly for me, which I think is one of the reasons I didn't enjoy this episode as much as I liked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we had some things that we wanted to tick off this episode and didn't have a way to tie them all together. Like, we want to go to Anara and do the Felicium stuff. We want the Breen, we want the new ship, and we want Beckett off of the ship. And then just did all of those things in the episode with not a great way to thread them all together. We'll do a super quick background on the Breen. The Breen get mentioned a few times in TNG, but we don't see them until Deep Space Nine. And they are an alien species that lives in I think they live in the Beta Quadrant, but when the nasty Dominion come from the Gamma Quadrant, they team up with the Cardassians, the Breen, and the Klingons for a little bit. But it's mainly the Cardassians and the Breen that cause this big Dominion war that keeps getting referenced. And yeah, we just see them do a lot of nasty things. They are aliens. We never see their faces. They're just in these helmets because they need them for atmosphere and to keep the temperature down, I think. The books go into detail about exactly who they are and what they look like, but I don't think they're strictly canon, so we won't be talking about that. But yeah, they're just bad guy aliens.
Okay.
They're pretty one note as far as we've seen in Deep Space Nine. We don't know much more about them.
Something else that sort of disappointed me this episode, and I don't mean to like poo-poo on it the entire time, but
shit on it. We're in the good section, by the way.
I know. We're kind of like reviewing it all. I should focus on my positives.
Let's do some positives, yeah.
But one of the things that before I get to that, because I want to finish my thought, is like I thought that maybe the reporter had something against the captain because it seemed like there was a little bit of an ominous. Wow. An ominous like entry, like when she got there and kind of pulled in, it seemed like maybe there was this sort of ominous music playing or something. And I thought, oh, there's something here. I mean, maybe it's because she ends
that would be the trope, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But I thought there might be history too. Like maybe she came loaded with information or something.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it ended up, she definitely raised a lot of questions about the burrito.
When Freeman immediately reacts to seeing the reporter, I was like, oh, you know her somehow. I was like, no, this is just the stereotypical captain doesn't want to be invaded. This episode, by the way, triggered me so freaking hard with my previous career, because whenever in a former life, I was a retail manager for many years, and whenever you would have a visit from your regional manager or from a visitor or somebody important, it is just, and anyone who's worked in retail will probably know this, the biggest load of bullshit that you have to go through, because you have to cover up all of the cracks, not give them the real story, let them know that everything is fine, profits are up, morale is high, and everything is great. You have tons of people to work with. And you do the things you've never done. Like you're cleaning the keys in between the cash register. You're like emptying bins that have never been emptied. You're like dusting the top shelf that nobody will ever see. You're filling stuff to make it all look nice and beautiful. And it's just bullshit. Like I feel for Mariner just like so hard that you're putting on this front that you really want to put your best foot forward, but it's all a lie. And it hurt me today. It reminded me of my life before this.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's important to think about cleaning up every once in a while. And if not when someone visits them, what is life? I mean, I don't really have
because you should have a regular routine of cleaning. It should not just be because somebody is here. You should do the right thing even when nobody is watching.
Okay. Right. True. Sure. Yeah. That's how I live my life. I'm not at all motivated by house cleaning when someone's going to come over.
I'm motivated by like house cleaning the day before the house cleaner gets there, because I'm like, I don't want it to be a complete mess.
No, there's a lot of things about Lower Decks that has that same kind of pain level for real life. Certainly one of them. I'm sorry that you felt that way. Do you need to talk about it some more? Or do you have some
totally.
Therapeutic really? Okay, go ahead.
Like, no, I'm good. Do
you mean to give you an evaluation after this?
I would love that. I would do it right now. Evaluate me on the deck.
Okay. Well, first of all,
you hate me. Yes.
I have decided to change over from a ranking system of 1 to 10 to stars. You know, so
Wait, okay. Are the stars good? Like, I am okay. Sorry, apologies to the podcast listeners. There is some love in the live chat at the minute for my retail woes, which gives me confidence that out there, podcast listeners, some of you working in retail will also feel the pain of working through regional and district visits and the nonsense you have to go for to pretend that you have your shit together.
Wouldn't it be awesome if it was as it's meant to be and they would just show up and
I mean, so that would always, this is such a sidetrack, but there is always that voice in the corner that says, well, why are we going to all of this extra effort? Why don't we just let them see how it really is? And they just get death stares. It's like, you fucking insane? No, of course we're not going to do that. No, we're still going to put the best foot forward. We're still going to make up all of this shit. The only thing worse than doing all of that work is letting them see what the shop is actually like.
You know, I am thankful I didn't really have to work in retail for very long, but I did have like
happy for you.
I had two. Off the top of my head, I think I had 2 retail jobs, but they were really laid back, and one of them was just for one summer, so I didn't have to like bank a career on it. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, which is why I'm giving you 5 stars
out of.
Well, that's a sliding scale depending on which room of the ship you're in, and I also sprinkle in a little tenure as you do in job reviews.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. Just as the dangling the carrot. Great. You're now allowed to do the job that you didn't like for the rest of your life. Right. Okay.
Can we get to the good stuff now? Gosh.
To the good stuff. Tell me some good stuff. Tell me the positives.
Wow. Not very many.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think my favorite part is the new ship showing up, because it's fun to see a new ship. The space battle was fun, but that's not surprising because I always like the space battles when they pop up on screen. And
of course,
I thought I'm glad to see some momentum with the breaking up of the characters, because that tells me that they're going to be doing some stuff with the structure. That does excite me. But those are all things we kind of covered already. So there really wasn't anything surprising in this one for me that I was like, oh shit. But probably my favorite part is the brief montage when the reporter is kind of cycling through and telling everyone or answering the question.
Yeah.
It's the whole tell us about what it's like to live, like life on the Cerritos kind of a thing. And it's going through, everyone's like, I like living on the Cerritos because of blah, blah. And it shows the porpoises, talking about partying and eating fish. And so there was like this kind of clever montage.
Keishon, just like, they turned me into a puppet. Nobody judged me.
But I really loved the moment when the guy who speaks in metaphors popped in.
Yes, Keishon. Yeah.
And his response was that his time on the Cerritos was like the cave and blah, blah, blah. And the reporter's like, you lived in a cave? And,
amazing.
And it's his way of communicating. And that's a clever character that I want to know more about. They get to really play around that character. We've talked about that before on the season of Captain's Pod, but I really have enjoyed that one. And it was a clever way to piece it all together. All of that conveniently missing from the reporter's
of
thing
course.
that they did,
Anything
of course,
positive.
but
Clever editing.
But they did show Mariners.
Yes.
But they only showed Mariners to point out that she then kicked her off the ship for talking to her.
It's almost like the media has an agenda and isn't always giving us just the facts. Stares into camera.
I feel like on the podcast when there needs to be that long pause.
Yeah, I'll add a look, and then
with cricket noises or something,
or like the X-Files music, do 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 dum do dum, because it's a bit spooky.
Dum 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 dum.
Anyway, somebody clip that quote about the media and put it somewhere.
Yes, clip away.
Do it, clip it. Right, my positives I've already talked about. To be honest, I like the cool new ship. I'm amazed we don't this is. Oh, I'm about to say something negative. No, I'll say that.
See, this is a difficult one. Just talk about the show. We can't keep it in segments today. Sorry.
So the ship, I do like it, but the cool thing is that Lower Decks has now introduced its own ship. So I mean, obviously it's done that because it did it with the Cerritos. Damn it, the burritos with the Cerritos. But it's introduced a new ship that isn't in the canon, and now it is, and it's a new ship. It's cool. It's the Alameda or whatever, or the Allegro, Alida. It's a Texas class.
I wasn't paying attention.
It'll be named something in Texas. And it's automated. It's just
Amarillo?
incredible.
Amarillo?
Yeah, that too. It's just amazing to me that we're still talking about drones in the future and like automated ships. Like, if that decision hasn't been made by 2390, it's never being made and it's never happening. Like, the automated, of course, that's the easier way to do it. It's safer, it's more cost effective, everything should be unmanned. But us as humans like to be out there, and we like to actually see things and touch things and invade them and breach the Prime Directive with them as much as possible.
Wow.
So I guess I'm just amazed that this drone ship hasn't already happened, and I'm interested to see what the motivation to do it now is. Like, was it because of the Dominion War? Like, why do we now need unpersoned ships? But hey, it looked cool.
I can answer that for you.
Go for it.
Reasons. You're
Good.
welcome.
Good.
Gosh, am I good at this?
You're amazing. And also, why did the Alido's torpedoes work?
Alido torpedo.
And the Cerritos' spread of torpedoes got taken out. Do they have different weapons, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's just say that after quite a few episodes that would be very difficult to sin, we have found one that if we
That's
watched it
very
several
easy to
times,
sin. Yeah.
we could find a lot of things to sin inside of it. So,
But like I said, I do like that we've revisited one of Picard's infamous planets that he
Me
fucked
too.
up. Love that. Not necessarily what I wanted to see, but I love that we were doing it.
I
guess that's it.
There was this one moment when they were on the first planet of now athletically addicted people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the beefy first
Ransom.
Ransom. He's who was awful. Like he drives
He's
me
an
crazy.
awful person. He's awful.
I'll get to more about my sins on him, I guess, here in a second. But he's like, so how many reps do you do, or like how much can you bench press or something? He asked them that, and the person says, we don't work out for numbers. We do it to quiet the voices in our head.
It's dark as heck.
And nobody questions that.
This planet still needs help.
Oh, there was so much there. We could have spent an entire episode just exploring their curiosities, and maybe that's part of what they're doing, with the writing, is leaving a lot up to the imagination. I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps.
But that cracked me up. I thought that was funny because it's like, we don't do it for the numbers. We do it for health, I was thinking, but it was just to quiet the voices in our head.
Yeah, man, it's tricky. It's really, really tricky because a TNG episode would have spent the whole thing there revisiting and doing that stuff. Lower Decks isn't, but it has done in the past. So I'm interested to know what the direction is with one episode left.
Yeah. Is it just one? Wow.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's the last one.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
So this was episode...
Okay.
Wait, is it?
I don't know because I don't pay attention because I'm not captain.
Episode 9. Yeah, episode 10. So we have next week's the last
shocked.
one.
Oh, that's
the finale.
So this is like absolutely third act conflict cliche at its finest.
Yeah, that's why I laughed so much because it literally is. It's to set up the finale. Yeah.
Well,
everything makes sense.
Well, then they're going to have Mariner not rejoin Starfleet until the next season. They're going to leave that on a
kind of
cliffhanger.
makes sense. Yeah. I think so. I mean, if the whole crew gets disbanded, it would be interesting.
Ooh,
like
prediction. Okay, yes. Out of order. Sorry, Captain.
We don't do that segment anymore, don't worry.
So I think then what would be really fun to see is if Mariner's group of friends, Boimler, Rutherford, Tendi. Oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I'm so proud.
I think it's just those three, right? It's just that group. And then Mariner, isn't that just the four of them?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like they might take a ship and go save Mariner or something. Like maybe that's them leading as they actually take a crew with them.
Maybe.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Maybe they all leave Starfleet.
I can't. No, there's no way they're leaving Starfleet.
Tendi
is on. She's on the captain's path. There's no way.
What if there's a 10-year time jump and they recast all of the animated characters without explaining anything?
Like
stare into camera.
Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon style.
Yeah, that was my joke. Yeah.
Fuck all that. I hate that show.
Right. I think we're pretty much done. Let's go into actually sinning some stuff. To engineering.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Hit it. Could you imagine if Captain... That is exactly what Ortegas would do. Pike says hit it, and Ortegas just goes... That'd be amazing.
Shit.
I would love that.
Oh man, I found quite a lot. Sinful, we've talked about a lot of it already, but very specifically, why is Mariner covered in blueberry goo before the blueberry eating contest? And why is it dripping through? Why does she have so much that it actually carries with her through the ship as she walks around? It's in the lift, it's in the hallway, it's back in her quarters. Why does she have that much blueberry filling on her before the competition? This was never explained. Maybe it was because the chat's already saying that they were practicing.
Yes,
That is too much practicing before a competition. You don't need to be eating before a competition. It is right before the competition.
Agreed. No, totally agree. Unless, like, it's obviously because she's practicing, but I don't understand how she's practicing. Like, there is some logic to don't go in completely starving, because as soon as you eat, you'll then psychologically you'll get full up. So she's like pre-gaming. She's like jogging.
Enough
she's
to
warming
drip
up,
it
I
through
guess.
the entire
But,
ship.
Yeah, my
So
big
stupid.
sin is that she's walked all the way from wherever she was back to lower decks, and she's still trailing blueberry stuff. Like,
Everywhere.
is it in her sleeve? Does she have like a little pocket
everywhere.
in her leg that she's releasing it everywhere? Like, so much blueberry jam.
I'm sorry. Did you just ask if Mariner has a pocket in her leg?
In her trouser leg.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, that she's like releasing all of it. Yeah.
Guess who didn't see that in her imagination right away?
Oh.
I was like, a skin pocket? Gross.
Yeah, skin pockets. We all have skin pockets. We're all marsupials at heart, really. So many blueberries.
Moving on.
So this was a great one. Did they just fucking surprise the Anarans? Because, like, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but they beamed down to the planet, like, hey, no welcome party, and then they're walking around and just like, I guess they're all okay and whatnot. You didn't
No one
hail them.
reacts.
You didn't like say, hey, by the way, we're swinging through on this unsolicited mission. Did you want to prep the place ready for us to arrive so it doesn't look like we're expecting it to look? Like,
and then bounce
no
off of that
contact.
the fact that they landed right in front of somebody who could kind of basically speak on behalf of the population.
right?
You know, it wasn't somebody who wasn't prepared to communicate.
It's just insane that they don't give them a heads up. Like, this would be scheduled months and months and months in advance. It wouldn't just be, hey, 17 years later, hi guys, we're swinging in. No, fuck you, get on my planet. Like, just insane that they didn't, like, scan. I don't know how they didn't scan for the Breen on the planet Eve, right? I think the Breen have some sort of cloaking technology.
Blocker or
but
something.
Still, you didn't scan that there were no Brekkians on the planet, or they're all underground or some shit. Like, I'm baffled
Highly suspect.
that away missions exist. Like, all of this should be found out before you need to get on the planet. It's insane. Insane.
Yeah, this was an episode that was just ripe with things like, why are you doing that? This doesn't seem logical. And we're talking about a cartoon that's in the Star Trek universe. So, like, obviously, there's going to be some things that make no sense to us as Earth people. Like,
yes.
you know, but then there's things like, if
In our simulation.
inside the show, the captain is devoted to not having this reporter come near Mariner and her friends, but then takes her directly by where they sleep.
Yeah. I mean, it's to get the
That's an
awesome view.
absolute sin. Yeah,
But still, there's other places to get a good view from. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
totally agree.
It's a great view because you're right over something cool. I get that. But then you would go when they're sleeping for sure,
Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
make sure
But
they're not there. You
it's like
reassign
she's
them
still
to do
covered
something
in
else.
blueberry. It happened like moments later. It's like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead. They're all there. So it's like the show just keeps making questionable decisions, even for itself, like even for its
Even for a
own
cartoon.
rules.
Exactly, its own internal rules.
Not only its own rules within the show, but within the exact episode. Like
Yes.
they're saying, "I don't want to do this," and then they do. It
But
was
you
very
don't do
weird.
the thing.
Yeah.
No, totally. That's a perfect way to send it. So on that away mission as well, it's like, hey, let's split up and look out everywhere. Ransom and Shax just walk off on their own. Like, do not send people in a sketchy ass situation off on their own.
Okay, so can we talk about that for a second? Because they said phasers out. Something is not right. There was never a split up. No one said
No,
split up. They just said
decided to fuck off.
phasers out. Something's not right. And instead of staying together, they split up. It was like, what is going on right now?
Were you expecting Freeman to look over her shoulder and be like, wait, where the fuck are you guys? I didn't say split up.
Yeah, it literally
So
was.
dumb. They should not be walking on their own. They really shouldn't. They really
We're
should
in
have
a
just beamed up straight away and
sketchy
sent some probes.
situation. There's something wrong here. Let's all go different ways.
Yeah, let's not do that. That's a dumb idea. So when they're on Anara and they've realised everything is fine, and the reporter is like, oh, hey, I guess everything is great. And Freeman just like grabs the camera and pushes it out the way. And I'm like, nothing says suspicious than get that camera out of my face. Like, if she's trying to keep up some sort of front, trying to silence the media is not the way to do it. Like, that is on film. Like, just because you chucked it out the way, they have that recorded, and that's going to be cut and cropped and used to make you look sketchy as heck.
I would send the fact that on a ship that is from the future, where one can communicate
from the present.
Shut up. Where one can communicate, like just instantly, or tell the entire ship, don't talk to Mariner. Like we have this capability. Yeah. Why are you relying on a note taped to a door to cancel the pie eating contest? I mean, it
ship
looks
announcement.
Cool.
Yeah.
It looks cool, but why not just make an announcement? We don't need to, like, they had to go find paper and crayons apparently because it was really shoddy looking. And tape.
They got a child. Then they had to find a child to draw the sign for them.
And then stick it up onto the doors.
Also, that door opens.
Yeah. Shink. And it does.
Oh,
it does
they
open.
tore my thing.
Oh, guys. The first person who has to go in
ruins that sign.
It ruins it. Yeah. It was very dumb.
It's amazing. I love it. Wait, you're leaving the bird counselor in charge of the ship? Why is that a thing?
Why is that a thing?
I don't.
Was that? I assumed it was like a guest appearance of a voice or something. Like why would they give the ship to? I really don't know. Do you know
like
that
actor is great and just give him something to do, but I really don't get it. Like, I mean, counselors have a rank. Like, Deanna is a lieutenant and then eventually lieutenant commander, but she can be in charge of the ship technically, but there have got to be other options than the bird counselor, surely.
I sinned so much in our first part that I really kind of have covered a lot of my confusing notes
kind of did
here.
As well.
But I think the last one would be, and this maybe just speaks to the captain being a little bit biased and frustrated with her daughter and her assumptions about what daughter said in the interviews. But how is the captain more worried about Mariner than Ransom, who during his interview turns into a total fuckwad to the reporter?
Absolute pervert, yeah.
And just like
sexual predator.
Oozes sexual. Yeah. He's just like, hey, what are you going to be doing later on tonight? And then like on the buff meaty workout play, like, kiss your muscles situation. And like, she's clearly just like, get the fuck away from me.
I don't know why anybody would want him on your crew, let alone first officer.
Is that, it's kind of like, maybe I feel like he represents the old school Star Trek character that you've described before, where like they're hypersexual and they just fuck all the aliens.
He's
That's
Shatner's
essentially
Captain Kirk, but if he was number one, like it's definitely a throwback to that cowboy era of Star Trek, of Starfleet. Yeah. What's great is that they even reference that internally in Voyager. Like they're talking about the good old days and talking about Captain Kirk, and they're like, man, what would it have been like to explore the Wild West like Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy and just less rules and stuff like that. So even internally, they know that shit was like chaotic back in Kirk's day. And Ransom is definitely a throwback to that, and probably why he's just on a Cali class instead of something bigger.
Potentially so.
Yeah.
Potentially so. Yeah.
Well, my last big sin was just really about the ship and how it's suddenly way more effective again. It takes out 3 Breen ship. Like, forget the fact that it's unmanned or unpersoned. It is a like destructive powerhouse. It is just ruining ships left and right. Like,
the Breen
what
ships
type
had
of torpedoes does it have?
They had that really cool like ball shooter.
Yeah, the energy beam thing. Yeah,
beam is a ball that hung off the bottom.
Carry on.
Of the
hemorrhoid,
the phallic jutting part of the Breen ship. It was just kind of like hung there.
Penile hemorrhoid.
Yes.
Of energy. Yeah.
You heard it here, folks. That's the cold open if I've ever heard one.
There we go. Oh man, I don't want that. I mean, that's cool weapons, but they just get wiped out by this drone ship. So yeah, anyway, big sins there.
Absolutely.
Well,
that's it for me today.
Okay, bye, Ambassador. You gonna hang around for the end?
I gotta go prepare myself for the last episode because I thought we had longer, and so I said I was nervous earlier, and I'm even more nervous now because what they've just kind of done to set up the stage for the finale. I'm really intrigued. I don't know. I got to go prepare myself. I'm going to get my Snuggie and a weighted blanket
Yeah.
and
Hot
some
water
bottled
bottle.
water.
Yeah, drink some fluids.
In my glass bottle because I'm not trying to continue to use plastic water bottles all the time.
I like that. Get your wibbies. The puppies behind you. They're your wibbies.
I'll get the puppies, grab Iris. We'll all just snug down and just prepare for the mental chaos. I want to love the finale. I am nervous.
Yeah,
about
I'm nervous
it.
as well. They usually
I've
pull off a
loved
great
this
finale.
show.
I love this show. And just to remember, like this time 12 weeks ago, you hadn't seen a single episode of Lower
It's
Decks.
true. I
And you
can't
love
believe
this
it's already
show.
been 12 weeks. That's
It's
crazy.
Because we did the 2 previous episodes and now we've done 9 of this series. So
That's
11
pretty
weeks
cool.
ago. It's awesome. Honestly, I still love this show. I think they'll pull something great off with the finale. I am so excited for season 4. I just hope we do something fresh, to be completely honest. But there we go. Right, well, thank you for listening, everybody. Everybody in the live chat, thank you for joining us on YouTube Live and on the CinemaSins Live Twitch channel. We have emotes and stuff, so if you want to come and subscribe for the low cost of a coffee a month, you can do some, like, CinemaSins emotes and stuff, and not just for Captain's Pod, for Recotopia as well. We've got dings, we've got devils holding hearts, we've got... No. If you want to know any more, come and have a look. No. But yes, that is it for us, everybody. Thank you for listening, everyone. I'm off to a cancelled pie eating contest.
And I'm going to grab a broom for the Pyrithian bat.
Nice. Live long and Podspur.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
How are you doing, Ambassador?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Good. Oh, hey. Oh, you brought
Hello.
Get it. You brought the go music.
You know how, like, I made that massive pot of ham and beans that we've been eating on for, like, 10 days now or something?
Yeah.
Okay. And you know how it's like when you would make a portion for me, like when we decided that we were going to have some and you'd like, I got it. And you'd make a portion for me and I would get the big bowl and be like, holy shit, Ian, this is a lot of ham and beans
to eat. Yeah. Well, there was a lot to get through.
Yeah. Turns out I'm also really bad at portioning for myself. So what I did is I kept scooping down into the container to try to find big chunks of meat because...
Oh, yeah. You want to get to that meat. Yeah. Of course you do.
Yeah. I did things a little differently. So like with his ham and beans, the extra ham that I had was cubed, like really tiny little cubes of ham.
Right.
But I usually get a chunk of ham, like that's pre-cooked ham, and I chunk it up into big chunks and put that in there. So it's kind of hard for me to know, is this bean? Is this ham? Because sometimes it's a little...
Is it just a chunk of fat?
So yeah. So then I went down and I found a massive chunk of meat off of the ham hock, and I'm like just stabbing at it with my metal spoon to try to get a chunk out. And I just kept adding more and more beans, thinking that there was meat in there. So then I added some more stock and a little bit of seasoning and heated it up, got it in the bowl, got my toast ready. I sit down and like there's just there's an insane amount of beans and just like the tiniest bit of ham.
So now do you take it back when I gave you that massive portion of beans and you're like, Ian, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like,
I'm sorry.
I had to find the meat. I had to find the ham.
No,
and
I get
with
it now.
It comes with excess baggage of beanage. Excess beanage.
The bean baggage is real.
Oh, excess beanage? That's
Doesn't
gross.
sound very good. Unless you're a kitty cat and you have the little toe beans, and then it's so cute.
Oh, and then it's really... If you have like a few extra toe beans, that's adorable. You know the solution? Replicators.
Oh, no.
Get replicators everywhere. Wait, what did you think the solution was going to be?
I don't know. I thought you were going to say a pun or something. I just had a show with Aaron a minute ago, and it's just, pun central, which is fine. He's very good at them.
He is. He's very good at it. But yeah, he's setting himself up for a pun. Like, I remember the days when that would confuse me. When he would say, well, you know what you get when you do this with a this. And I'd be like, what? No, I'm expecting some knowledge. And he's just like, pun!
Yeah. Like he punches you with the pun. With the punch.
A gun punch. A pun punch? A gut punch. A gut punch. I did a pun!
So I just sent this feedback.
Yeah. Oh no. Wait. You can't. Feedback to who about what?
Well, this is the fun. This is the feedback that
this
I
makes me
sent.
nervous. Okay.
Was so if we could have a new revision on this image, that would be great, because we're a little concerned that there could be several head tilts when they see these seeds because they look a little ball sackish.
Oh. So I know the other end of this. So this is you sending it to the professional artist saying, hey, your artwork looks like balls. Can you stop it?
Listen, I didn't think it looked like balls until it went to until it went to our writers. And then our team, our CinemaSins team, looked at it and one person was like, does anybody else see balls?
What has been seen cannot be unseen.
And then
now
you
that
can't
it's
unsee
there.
it.
No, you
so
can't.
yeah, we're going to redo it.
Looks like balls.
We'll redo it. It doesn't look like balls.
Hey, Deneé cat.
Oh. Brace
This
yourself,
is the pub-
everybody.
God damn it. God damn it. I cannot thank you enough for mentioning this. And that will become apparent very quickly. Deneé, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I love your picture, by the way, with the little puppy. Deneé says, the blueberry stuff reminds me about last week's Captain's Pod and Deneé spilling her apple strudel everywhere. Now, I would like to thank you so much because I was told that I would forget to talk about this in the show, and I had. I had completely forgotten to mention this because we had another strudel incident. And I said, this is absolutely perfect for the outtakes. And Deneé said, you won't remember to put it in the outtakes. This will happen now and you will forget that this ever happened. And I had forgotten until you, my beautiful friend, had mentioned it. So
Thanks, Daredevil.
We were reviewing a script together. And there are 2 of these strudels left. And Deneé's like, hey, I'm going to cook these strudels. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, is that okay? Can you do it without spilling them onto your laptop, on me, on your child, on the dogs, on Alaska?
I did pretty good,
How can you do that? So
I thought I did pretty good.
instead, you know, like when a child stands next to a microwave and he's just like, I want it. Immediate gratification. The problem is when you become an adult is that you can stop the toaster oven or the microwave whenever you want. And she did. So I am just handed this strudel that I'm like, okay, this seems ready. She bites into hers and just goes, huh. That's really cold. It's not even remotely close to being cooked. I take a big bite and it's fucking frozen. Like,
I want it so bad.
It must have been in the toaster for like maybe 2.5 seconds. And it's just frozen. So yeah, there's no chance of a mess. Because it's still an ice cube.
I made it weird. I did a really weird
You
thing.
made it weird. You absolutely made it weird.
I was so excited. I was like sitting on the couch, like swinging my feet like a kid. Because I was like shoving the strudel.
I got a strudel.
I'm like,
Oh.
I mean, it's a little cold on the inside, but I'm still eating it. It was
It's
so good.
Cold. It's just, it's incredible. And I'm just like, this is now like basically inedible. There's just nothing I can do with
It was still
I
pretty
ate it.
good. It was
I
still
ate
pretty
it all, but I was like, this is amazing. This is
oh my God.
This is why we shouldn't be allowed to have things. It's so great.
I was really excited. I could have put it back in and I could have definitely warmed it up a little bit longer, but it was still edible.
I was done. I was like, I just want to eat the strudel. Like, I'm finished.
Well, you know what that means is we have to go back, get more, and then try again until
we need to find another adult that can make. Aaron, could you make the strudels for us? Because Ian makes them nuclear and Deneé doesn't cook them.
Okay, so this one's from JCD. Post a question: who would you be the most concerned about learning they're looking for you? Gul Dugat, Elim Garak, or Selah?
Huh.
I'll answer this one because I know who all these people are. I have no fucking idea who these people are. I'm gonna go with Selah because
I think that's a good shout.
S-E-L. I think like Selah in S-E-L-A-H. I think is it Selah in the Bible? Is it? I'm saying a different fucking word, Captain. Shut your mouth.
Just ignoring my pronunciation.
Shut your mouth hole. I think Selah in the Bible is like pause and think on that. Like it's like think about what I've said. Like pause and think about it and contemplate it.
Interesting.
So it's like the end of prayers instead of amen. It's I think it's Selah. I'm pretty sure. So my idea is that because I'm comfortable with the word Selah, you just drop the H and then it's this person's name. I would be very afraid of that person, because if they approach me, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to pause and think about this while they prepare to like kick my ass. I'm assuming you're asking this because these are all very dangerous people, JCD.
They are very dangerous people. Not necessarily evil, but they are dangerous. Long story short, an alternate version of Tasha ends up in the past and gets kidnapped by Romulans, and they make a baby. So Sela is the offspring of a Romulan guard and Tasha Yar.
Are you saying God or guard?
Guard, as in prison guard.
Okay.
Water. And Sela has just been raised by Romulans and hates humans and wants to kill humans and Vulcans.
Okay.
So in theory, depending on when this is, she has the might of the Romulan Empire behind her, which is scary.
So you don't pause and think on this. You run.
You leave. Yeah, you leave. Yeah, you get out of there.
Okay,
Gul Dukat, depending again on when we're seeing him, kind of heads up the Cardassian military. So then you have the entire military might of Cardassia hunting you down. And
I'm popular.
Elim Garak is a good Cardassian, but he kind of runs the Obsidian Order-ish, and he doesn't run it, but he has a lot to do with them. And that's the Tal Shiar version for the Cardassians. So it's their secret police.
Okay.
And at the minute, we think that he's actually the Castellan or president of Cardassia. So either way, the Cardassians are going to hunt you down. So do you want Cardassians, or Romulans?
I already made my choice.
Yeah. Garak scares me the most because he's technically a good guy, but with less morals, and they're the most dangerous people. So I think my answer is Garak. Okay, Josh Zero. I do have a question for the captain. Does Ian feel that Stuart Baird, the director of Nemesis, killed the Star Trek movie franchise, or was it resurrected by J.J. Abrams and streaming shows like Picard? I don't think we can say that streaming shows like Picard have anything to do with the movies, because that Star Trek 4 movie just isn't happening. That's killed its own momentum somehow. Now, there was going to be a 5th Star Trek TNG movie that did like kind of a search for Spock, but for Data. And that was going to be the final TNG movie that kind of wrapped everything up. And some ideas from that were taken and put into Star Trek Picard, apparently. So I guess yes is the answer, is that Nemesis was so disliked that they had no momentum to make another TNG movie. But very quickly, like 5 years later or something, no, it was probably a bit longer than that. I think it was 7 years later, we have J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek. So it wasn't dead for very long. It was kind of in stasis. It definitely killed the TNG movies, without a doubt, but Star Trek is just going to keep coming back. Like, it has survived Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. If it can survive that and season 2 of Star Trek TNG being on concurrently, I think it can survive pretty much anything. And we've got, I think, 5 TV shows now. Star Trek 4 could still happen. If not, something else will happen. I'm happy for Star Trek to stay on TV. Like, the movies are always kind of nice added extras, but Star Trek on TV is where I want it to be. Who's your favourite Star Trek character? From Link, I think it is Data. And mainly because, like, Brent Spiner is just an incredible actor. He has the most kind of complete arc. He has an incredible arc that's really consistent and makes sense. He can go from sincere and, like, compassionate to I'm going to snap your neck because you've hurt my friends so quickly. I love him. Data's definitely my favourite. The most diverse, for sure. For a little android that could. What would yours be, Deneé?
I think I agree.
Yeah.
I love Data. He was someone to relate to when I was watching TNG, where he had that sort of childlike approach where he was curiously discovering parts of humanity while also being really, really helpful and intelligent in all these different circumstances. So, but it was always interesting to see, like, through his eyes, how to think about problem solving. And I really liked that part of the character. A lot of the other characters for me when I was first introduced to Star Trek were like more parental because I was younger and I'm watching the adults do stuff. So Data was the most, like, for me that I could relate to, where he was just asking interesting questions.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think I go back to Data again, like you said, because Brent Spiner's performance as that character is really fun to watch. Yeah. And I think that they can do interesting things with him as a character where, you know, when they first discover him or when they're first working with him, does he have a right to decide? And that was a really fun,
oh man, that was huge,
curious part of the storyline of Data was, here's this android. Does he have free will, or do we own him? And what does that mean? And I think the show liked to explore that, and you could see it in the writing.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas the other things that the writers explored for me were things that you're used to seeing, like a love interest. Like I'm used to seeing those stories, or just overcoming adversity. I'm kind of used to seeing those stories, but through the framework of Data, there was more there, and it continues to be that way. Even with Picard, for example, watching Picard, where we're going back and we're visiting Dr. Soong and these characters and how they played into it, that gave Data even more weight for me. And season 1 of Picard is another arc of Data's story, which was really interesting to me. And I think I can appreciate that character even more because I got to watch him so much. So if you're going to go back and maybe watch some Star Trek for the first time, for those of you that are in the chat that were talking about that earlier, I think if I was to start with a list to go through, it would be like the most interesting Data episodes. Here's one from me, from Link. What if we got Babs to do a recap of the episode?
Do it.
So, first of all, I think Babs should become some kind of a narrator for things with CinemaSins because she's so foul-mouthed and dirty, and I think that's just kind of like our brand, so it could work pretty well. But I think if Babs was to, like, Babs is a character in my imagination, but she lives inside of a video game in like the 1901 Wild Wild West. So if Babs was to talk about Star Trek,
yes,
I think she would think that she was like in some sort of a fever dream. Yeah,
she would. She absolutely would.
Yeah, she would. So if she would wake up from a dream about the future, and she would talk about it. So that's the approach I'd have to take if Babs continues to live fully in that world. Like if I take Babs out and she just lives inside my brain and does whatever I want her to do, like narrate for something like this, then that's also quite fun.
That's
But yeah, if she was to, that's how I would have to approach
the
it.
ship gets blown up again.
All right, so here's the thing. There's a ship, all right? But it's actually not in the fucking water. It's in the
you got to
sky.
explain that to begin with.
Right?
Amazing.
I had a dream. I was in darkness like my soul.
Soul.
Oh, yeah, you gotta, like, really watch out for me there, Captain.
Oh,
Joining
Babs
for
saying
this
Captain
part of
is
the
weird.
show. Captain.
Yeah.
Captain
So,
Dick Fuck. Yeah, that's you.
Nice. There we go. Say make it so in Babs' voice.
Make it so, motherfucker.
Nice. I have lost the end of my show notes.